Mr. Walton, did you make contact with aliens? Were you taken to another planet, to a mothership? How did they communicate with... Can you tell me what they look like? Can you tell me how many of them there were? Were you given food?
But the teachers are alive. They're not books. They are the very living essences of nature itself.
What a strange person.
Unbelievably powerful supercomputer that's running our reality, and we don't have a clue as to how to operate it.
So when maybe you or somebody else creates an AGI system and you get to ask her one question, what would that question be?
What's outside the simulation?
Say in your mind, say to yourself, I am more than my physical body, because I am more than physical matter. I can perceive that which is greater than the physical world.
Do not know all the answers to the questions about reality. Do not claim to know the ultimate truth about life. I seek that which has been made hidden as a part of a family of explorers of consciousness. I am the void.
Welcome to Lighting the Void.
Yeah, broadcasting from New York, upstate near the Great Lakes, it's Lighting the Void, and I'm your host, Joe Roop, and we're live on KTLK, digital broadcasting for Fringe.fm. Our website is lightingthevoid.com. It's Tuesday night, May the 4th on into the 5th. I've been seeing all those memes saying, May the 4th be with you. It's pretty cute. Pretty cute. I want to thank Night Stalker and Dick Kahn for coming on the show last night. That was an awesome show. We had a blast. Also, big shout out to Rohan, who's been doing some hard work in the background on the Deep Void projects, and all of you guys listening to the show. If you want to call in, we might open the phone lines up in the last segment. If that number is 1-800-588-0335, you can call in on that line. And if you want to join our chat room and hang out with the cool kids in Discord, you can go to fringe.fm/Discord. Also want to thank the patrons and all of you guys that support the show at lightingthevoid.com for signing up to our Patreon and donating to the broadcast. So, yeah, now that we got that out of the way, I want to say that I had a blast on Sam Tripoli's show. It was really cool to be on a bit, I guess. You know, I've been on some podcasts before, other than like Grimerica. Grimerica's got a pretty nice setup too, but it's really cool to be a part of like a professional, not saying people aren't professional, but being in, I don't know, it just seemed, it had a different energy to it, man. Like it was really cool to be, it was kind of the same as like Grimerica's podcast. It was cool to be able to talk to people that, you know, they want to talk about this stuff and get the word out, but also throw a little comedy in there too. And that's always fun, man. And I don't know. I just think Sam's a great guy. If you want to go listen to that show, it's on a podcast called Tinfoil Hat. And it was pretty fun. It was really fun. So go check that out. And tonight we're going to talk about a few things that we're going to get right back down into it. And we have a really special guest coming up. Caroline Cory is going to be calling in to talk to us. And some of the questions that I kind of want to get into is that, do we live in a simulated world, or can we have control over our physical reality? Obviously, you know that I believe that. I believe that we can and that we do. But to what extent? That's the big thing, right? That's the big thing we need to find out, because we don't want to waste our energy, or we don't want to trick ourselves into doing stuff that we don't know that we can do, right? If you go to our website, though, if you check this stuff out, you go to superhumanfilm.com and look at this film where they're blindfolding people and they have children reading blindfolded and all kinds of stuff. It's really cool, man. I really am super excited about how it seems to me that more people are tapping into these metaphysical, I guess you could say, powers of the human, right? Like, are we starting to become superhuman a little bit? I know that sounds wackadoo, but man, based on everybody that I've talked to in the past month, even telekinesis, doing all kind, it's been a really crazy month. I'll say that, and in a good way. I really think that we're starting to tap into the human potential. I really do believe that. I think it's coming around slowly but surely. And this whole COVID thing, if we want to take a positive spin on it, this whole COVID thing has focused us in onto doing this stuff. It's also helped me and others, I'm sure, deal with some psychological and emotional stuff, and make no doubt about it. Like, if you're dealing with your psychological, your psyche, or your emotions, any of that stuff, you're dealing with your spirit. It just seems like sometimes we get this idea that spirituality is only the metaphysical, unseen realms, and I think it's all of it. I personally do not count out the material world and the things that we have to deal with as unspiritual. I think it's all the same stuff, because it's part of becoming superhuman, right? So, so do we live in a simulated world? Can we have control over our own physical reality? And if so, yeah, that's it. The Blindfold. You got one, brother. Bree in the chat there. Do we live in a simulated world? Can we have control over our physical reality, and to what extent? And what does it mean to be a superhuman? And when we learn to experience and change things in the unseen realms, does it transform the world around us? That is pretty much everything I talked about with Sam Tripoli and his crew. That it definitely does. But you ever wonder why the superhero shows are so big? Why Marvel and DC and all of the, why that stuff, like the Avengers, when they did that and that stuff took off, everybody said it was just because people are comic book nerds and they got into the whole franchise of the movies, but it's more than that. When you watch, I really believe, like, when you watch a movie that has some esoteric truth to it, it rings true and vibrates something to you that is familiar. I'll give you an example. A movie I brought up on the podcast I was on, it was The Fifth Element. I brought that movie up so many times. When you talk to most people and you say, hey, have you ever seen The Fifth Element? Well, they tell you, they say, well, that's my favorite movie. That's it's either my favorite movie or one of my favorite movies. And you say, well, why? Why is that your favorite movie? And they'll say, well, I love the characters. I don't know. I love Chris Tucker. I don't know. They can't explain it. I don't know. It's really cool. I love that movie. Well, there are lots of truth in that movie about unlocking the powers that are in you consciously, the things that we talk about all the time on I would say the esoteric side of things, your elemental nature, love, and the sexual forces that are inside you. And when I say the sexual forces and sacred sexuality, I want everybody to understand that I'm not just talking about the physical act of sex. I'm not just talking about that. That's the human representation of it. It's in everything, everything. You study nature long enough and the way the world works and the universe, you'll start to see that, yeah, it's in everything. So keep in mind when I say that I'm not talking about anything crazy. I'm talking about something spectacular, actually. So that movie, my point is that movie has all of this stuff involved with it. And, you know, at the end, it shows the light when Corbin Dallas, which means, you know, black or silver star, comes together with the supreme being, Lilu, which is the male and female forces coming together, right? And after they've activated all the elements, it shoots off this divine beam of love and stops this evil force from taking over the earth. That's the divine plan. That's the divine plan in you as an individual and the divine plan of life. That's what we're here to do. No matter how long it takes, I think that's what we're here to do. And so my bigger point is, to get to the end of this rant, is that the reason why people love that movie, and you'll ask, like, well, I don't know, is because it's vibrating a deeper truth inside them when they watch the film. And this is what art does. Art, expression, movies, creation, music, all of that stuff, that energy, that right-brained energy. Some say it's the feminine energy, and the masculine is the logical, and the feminine is the artistic. You can look at the polarities however you want to look at them. But that stuff speaks to us. Just like science speaks to the left brain, and religion speaks to the right. It's all telling you the same stuff, but in a different way, different symbols. This is why I love art too, because you can get to some really deep truths through this stuff and really start opening up some deeper truths that are more powerful about you. People that draw stuff are expressing things, people that write poems. Doesn't matter how you express it. And essentially, when I talk about magic and manifestation, you know, this is the stuff they left out of the law of attraction and The Secret, right? You take the logic side of stuff. Some people could say the male energy, the one or the binary thing, right? And you take that, which is the method, the formula, the plan, this always works, ones and zeros, da-da-da-da-da, right? The formula. And then you add in the right brain or the female energy, the emotion, the art. Some say it's the Holy Spirit, right? It's been called that in Gnosticism. But the art, the drama, the expression, the emotion, you add that to it. You stack logic with symbols. You add the expression and emotion. You bring these things together and you manifest and create in your life. So when I say those forces, think about what you can do with actual love. If you have a partner that you really love, what could you create together knowing that? And I mean, it gets deeper than this. And I'll talk about this later, but so down the road. But tonight we're going to talk about the individual, right? Like, what does it mean to be superhuman? What does it mean to be more than what you originally told you were? What if we've been taught that who we are is just a little bit above the animal kingdom, and that's it, right? And the deep feelings that we have inside ourselves that we're way more than we think we are, we get from movies and all this other stuff, sometimes from religion and things like that. But now people like Caroline Cory, Dean Radin, the people at the Monroe Institute, I can go on and on, Thomas Campbell, those people, the people who have been on the broadcast to talk about these things are showing you that you're capable of way more than you think you are. And yeah, we're all equal. We're all human. We all are the same, but we're all unique too. So I think it's an exciting time. It really is. And it doesn't matter to me how you go about it. If you want to talk about conspiracies and and make people aware of how people are being manipulated, that seems to be negative to some people, but it's also empowering to others because people are tired of being controlled. If you want to talk about magic and manifestation and talk about the methods like I do and things like that, how to get those things in your life, to me, that's great. If you want to talk about getting into your higher self or learning how to astral travel or remote view so you can tap into your comic book superhero type powers that we're starting to learn that we have, that's great. That's the fringe, right? That's the void. That's all of it. All of it has to be accounted for. Moving things with your mind. But what I'm starting to really see at the end of the day is that all of this stuff corresponds, or it funnels to love. And I don't think that we have even comprehended just what love is. I think we are coming to understand it still as a human race, and still learning how to be higher beings and feel a different type of vibration, even higher levels of love that we've never experienced before. I know it all sounds woo-woo, doesn't it? And here's the thing. If you're listening, because I'm paying attention to the chat room, and your stream stops or anything like that, sometimes you might have to refresh it because it's an internet stream. It's not a radio frequency off of a satellite. Just refresh wherever you're listening. And you can listen to the show on TuneIn. You can listen to the show pretty much anywhere they play radio stations, on any app. You can download the Fringe FM app too to listen to it. So yeah, so we're going to get into that with our guests coming up here. Tomorrow night on the broadcast, we're going to have Owen Hunt. We're going to be talking about our world beyond reality, also known as Booty Greenwood, who is a comedian, but he's also a coach, and discusses how to live your purpose, the methods and stuff, how to find your purpose. And he also talks about magic and manifestation too. And, here's the thing. We're going to be doing an event together. So this guy that's coming on tomorrow night, plus Brandon Powell, is the guy that we're going to be doing that event with Grimerica at Contact in the Cabin in Arizona in February 10th through 13th, I believe, of 2022. So if you haven't signed up for that, make sure you go to lightingthevoid.com, go to the events, and click on the events thing, and it'll take you there. It'll take you to Grimerica's website. The tickets are limited. They have campsites. They have regular rooms. Then you can rent your own bedrooms there. We're all going to be out in the petrified forest in Arizona hanging out. I think you should come out and hang out with us. You got plenty of time to sign up. I just don't know how fast these things sell out. I know the last time they did a Contact at the Cabin, I don't know if it was with Randall Carlson. They do quite a few of them, but they sell out pretty quick. Just to make you aware there. So in a couple of weeks, I plan on actually, TalkStream Live too. Good, Rohan, brother. I appreciate that. You can listen to Lighting the Void and the Fringe FM on TalkStream Live and the Paranormal Radio app. Here in a couple of weeks, I think my time in upstate New York is going to be over. And I'm going to be heading out to the desert in the West. I'm going to make a stop in Arkansas to see my family, hang out with my son, and it's going to be great. And then I'm going to head out to the high desert and finally get to be under a huge, massive night sky. And there's more to that story, but more that I can't really reveal right now, but I will. I've heard a lot of stuff about Sedona, the energy of it, how it makes you feel. I don't know. I'm going to let you know. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to tell you I will give you the truth about it. Is it all hype or is it real? The energy vortex is real. Is it life-changing spiritual energy? I'll let you know. But I am going to go with an open mind for sure. There's no doubt about that. So, yeah. So remember, tomorrow night's Owen Hunt's coming on, and then we're going to have Kevin Gonzalez is going to be coming back. He'll be on Thursday night to talk about what makes children more open to the unseen realms and how the effects of trauma can carry forward young people into adulthood. So, yeah, Jody says it's life-changing. It's real. I know a lot of you guys have been out there, so that's cool. Maybe I'll get to hang out with some of you if you live close. I've only met a few friends out here. Chuck from Mellow Madness Tattoo and Trimmer and Barbie and everybody out here that's been cool with me. Adrian, Tommy. I met a couple other people. Yeah. So everywhere I go, I want to meet people and hang out with you guys, especially people that listen to the show, for sure. I want to thank our sponsors of the broadcast too, Metaphorical Archaeology. Make sure you give Barbara Charlton a shout. She's been a big, massive supporter of the network and sponsor, and her healing methods with EFT is fantastic. Also, getthetea.com for Ronnie McMullen, the tea that actually heals you, doesn't make you sick. It's good for you, and all of the stuff that he has on that website, man, it's really a help. I believe in supplements too, and ancientlifeoil.com. And our new sponsor, dogmancams.com. If you want to get into the cryptid world and check out those cameras and sign up, it's really cheap. It's only $6 a month. You can go to dogmancams.com. All right, so we're about to take our break here shortly. I wanted to get to this email, but I don't think I'm going to have time. I had it planned out. But if you want to email the show, we usually read them on open lines night or Monday night sometimes too. You can email the show at contact@lightingthevoid.com or just go to share your experience in the Discord chat, put your experience in there and get involved. And I think that's all I have. And so before we get our guest on here, there was something else. I'm having like this brain thing. There was something else that I was going to mention too. I totally forgot what it was. It was really important. Anyways, we're going to take our break. We'll be right back. Our guests will be coming on shortly, and we're going to get into what it means to be a superhuman. And are we living in a simulated reality? We're going to find out. We'll be right back.
Love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
The truth is out there, and so are we. KTLK, Digital Broadcasting, The Fringe FM.
Want to support Lighting the Void? Just go to lightingthevoid.com, sign up on our membership page, and pick your package where you can get exclusive content, readings, and exclusive behind-the-scenes content. Also, check out the LTV shop where you can get your very own altar box, t-shirt, shack, hoodie with sigil, Roswell-style t-shirt, racerback tees, socks, long-sleeve shirts, stickers, and beanies. Keep Lighting the Void airing 5 nights a week by going to lightingthevoid.com and support today.
Hey, is that a new music app?
Yeah, check it out. Surfer Music Discovery. It links to thousands of online stations, but the twist is you see the song names and artists that are now playing live.
That's different. No guessing. Looks like a waterfall of music.
So many formats. Rock, oldies, country, R&B, jazz, and a whole lot more.
How's that spelled?
Surfer. S-U-R-F-R.
Is it expensive?
It's free. No need to sign up or sign in.
Get the Surfer Music app free from Google Play or the App Store.
Telepath is a weekly digital newsletter filled with the latest paranormal news, trending topics, and fresh articles from some of the most popular critical thinkers in the community today. Stay informed on your favorite paranormal podcasts and live streaming talk shows. Interact with the Telepath and upload your paranormal story or pics. It could be featured in an upcoming edition. Sign up right now for the free Telepath newsletter at paranormal.radio. That's paranormal.radio.
Lighting the Void and the Esoteric Scholar present the Altar Box, crafted and designed for magicians by magicians. Now you can take your practice with you. This beautifully handcrafted mobile altar opens and works as an altar for any of your spiritual, religious, or ritual practices. Made to travel and work in small spaces, the Altar Box comes with hidden compartments for your practice tools and accessories. The Altar Box also comes with a dark scrying mirror for scrying and reverses and fits perfectly also as a chalkboard for any sigil, symbol, or whatever you see fit to sketch. The Altar Box is handcrafted to carry as a small suitcase, so you may take your practice with you, and the hinges are made with solid material and hinged with leather and rivets for extra strength. The mirror piece and floor plate fit perfectly when closed, so no movement will happen. Use it in small places as well. You can practice meditation, magic, planetary magic, sigil magic, scrying, and ritual. Never be without your practice tools again, no matter the setting or where you go. Just go to lightingthevoid.com/altarbox and get yours while the sale lasts.
I don't know all the answers to the questions about reality. I do not claim to know the ultimate truth about life. I seek that which has been made hidden as a part of a family of explorers of consciousness. I am a void walker. Hey, this is Macon, and you're listening to Lighting the Void with Joe Root.
Welcome back to Lighting the Void. Remember, the show is live for you here 5 nights a week, right here on Fringe.fm, KTOK Digital Broadcasting. Also want to welcome our affiliate, everybody at KFSA News Talk, all of you guys in the Discord chat, man, we love you. You guys always have a party here every night, and the chat is growing bigger. I've seen so many new people sign up. You guys got to get involved. Don't be shy. Everybody there will treat you right, and it'll be cool. All right, so our guest is here with us, first time on the broadcast, Caroline Cory, and I'm excited to talk about this big time, stoked about it. Caroline is an award-winning filmmaker, futurist, and the visionary author of best-selling books on consciousness and energy medicine, topping the charts of consciousness, science, and mystical literature. As a child and throughout her life, she's had numerous E.S.P. or extrasensory and pre-cognition experiences, which led her to become deeply connected to existential topics. the study of consciousness and the mechanisms of the universe. And after teaching energy medicine and consciousness work for over a decade, she founded Omnium Media, an entertainment and media platform that tackles various thought-provoking topics on the human condition and the nature of reality. And you can go to the website at omniumuniverse.com and also check out her new film at superhumanfilm.com. And this is the film that I was telling you guys about, where she got to talk to some really cool people, and I'll let her tell you about that as well. Thank you, Caroline, for coming on the broadcast. It's good to have you here.
Hey, Joe. Thanks for having me.
Man, I'm stoked about this because you're one of your films, and what you do is what, I mean, we're almost at 700 broadcasts here, and it's the whole point of the show. It's empowering people. It's showing people like what we're capable of. And it's exciting, man. You know, it really is.
Yeah, I mean, thanks for saying that, but it's true. I mean, we've been hearing a lot that we have to have a powerful mind. We create with our consciousness. We have to be positive. You know, all these ideas and theories, if you will. And it's true. This is the truth. But what I wanted to do with the film is not just talk about these concepts that our mind creates, that our consciousness, is multidimensional and eternal, and so on and so forth. I wanted to demonstrate the connection between consciousness and the physical world. I wanted to validate it scientifically. So that's the reason why I think this film is very special, don't you think? I mean,
yeah, absolutely.
Because it goes, yeah. I mean, it goes, we're no longer talking about it. We're showing on-camera live experiments that show how when you have a thought that you want to change the pH in the water, it does. You know, when you want to move a physical object, it does. And these are all done scientifically in laboratories, under laboratory conditions. So that's the reason why I think it's not just empowering, it's validating, you know, to all these folks listening to your show, you know?
Yeah. Well, it does something to the mind and our paradigm too. When we talk about it, right, it gets exciting, but then when you actually see and experience it, and your mind's like, oh, well, it's not just a discussion, right? Like it's a paradigm shifting type thing. And then that opens up more doors for us to keep exploring just what we're capable of. And I love talking about the human potential, and I love the name of the website, Superhuman Film, too, because I feel like that's what we're becoming, right? Like we're becoming, and I mean, it's kind of a fantastic word to say superhuman, right? But we are kind of starting to experience and understand and know that we are capable, way more capable of what we've been told that we are. So when it comes to the human potential, especially after all of the experiments you did with the film and everyone that you've talked to about the subject, do you think that we're just now like tapping into what we're capable of, or do you think we're actually getting to the peak of what we're capable of?
I think, unfortunately, we're just starting to tap into it, because I think, unfortunately, this society has been so programmed, you know, for years and years and years. We're not talking about the last few generations. I'm talking about 200,000 years, you know. The programming of the human brain, if you will, is to think that you're separate, to think that you are a physical being separate from the rest of the universe. And that's simply not true. In fact, now it has been validated scientifically that, you know, we are non-local. We are connected to everything. And so that's the reason why, because we have been programmed for so long to think one way, now we're just starting to open up to that, to these ideas, to that potential, to this possibility. And so I think this is just the beginning of many, many generations to come that will be superhuman generations. I mean, that's the point of this whole movie. But to be honest, we are not kind of discovering new things. We're discovering what has always been there within us. You know what I mean? It's almost like it's part of our DNA, but we just never thought about it or used it in that way. It's kind of like never using a muscle that you already have. So, so I think it's very, very exciting to think that we're just starting to tap into this area of possibilities, and there are a lot of people who are already living at that level, but I think not enough.
Right.
And that's the point. That's the point of the movie as well. I try to showcase people from all over the world, different ages, children, adults, in America, in Europe, in Russia, everywhere, that are doing all these extraordinary things. So people are already, they are here. They're doing it. They're living it. It's not a concept out there that we're, hoping to attain,
It's not a theory anymore, basically. Like it's happening. Thomas Campbell is probably, which I know he was in your film, is one of the most fascinating guys I've ever talked to. And I was a big fan of the Monroe Institute. And I remember when I had him on the show during the break, he would just kind of meditate and go into this different conscious state. And to him, it was just such a normal thing to just leave the body all the time or explore any type of extrasensory stuff. It was it was like breathing to him. And I think that's really cool. What other kinds of stuff did you experience as you went through this film? I know you talked to Thomas Campbell, but who else did you get to speak with and experiment with there?
Yeah, so Tom is amazing. I just love Tom Campbell. I also worked with Dean Radin. He, as you know, has been doing experiments in his lab for a long time. Specifically on what I just mentioned, which is, the connection, the interaction of mind and matter. And so because of that, I wanted to include him in the film. We did an experiment. It was pretty interesting in the movie where we measured the size of the pupil. The pupil apparently dilates when you have a strong emotional response. And so we did this experiment in his lab where we had a subject who's a friend of mine, and we would show him images, very striking images, to which he would have a very powerful, strong emotional reaction. And then his pupils would dilate, and this little device would kind of measure this dilation every single time, and that's kind of like create kind of a chart, on the computer. And so what would happen, what we noticed is that the subject was having the reaction, the pupils would dilate before he would see the image. And so, which means that he was having a physiological, emotional reaction to something that hasn't happened yet. And so this is how, this is one of the ways that we can demonstrate that we are sensing things and having a physiological measurable reaction, even though nothing tangible happened. And so this was one very, very fascinating experiment we did in the movie. I also worked with Glenn Ryan. I worked a lot with Glenn. He works with water and DNA. So I've been working with him for several years, and what we would do, for the folks who are listening who are scientists, when we work in a laboratory, for example, with a DNA sample, it's DNA sample taken from the women's placenta, and we would put it in a solution, special solution, and then we would try to affect the electrical conductivity that is going through the DNA. And so we would measure it over a period of time. That's what we call a baseline. So over a long period of time, we take those measurements over and over and over to kind of have that, to create that baseline. And specifically, let's say 3 hours later, specifically at a certain time, I would concentrate on it, and then I would try to affect the electrical conductivity of the DNA. And it would shoot up, like 400% exactly at that time. Wow. And then when I would stop looking at it, it would just go back to the baseline, to the original measurement. So we did experiments like that on camera, by the way, in this movie, but I've done it before with him many times, and every single time you would have this, what we call time correlation, meaning exactly at the time when you're focusing on the biological system, it reacts. And when you stop focusing, it goes back. And so that's how we know. That's how we validate scientifically, because it's repeatable, it's measurable, and that's how we know that there is a connection between mind and matter. So that was pretty fascinating. We did that in the movie. We worked with also water. I changed the pH of the water, same thing, just by looking at it. And other examples as well, working with telekinesis and things like that.
Yeah, and people being blindfolded and able to do things with it. It was amazing seeing that too, what they could do blindfolded. I think this kind of rings true to what I was asking earlier before you came on about, and I want to get into this about our nature and what we know about ourselves. But after you went through all this, do you think that we live in a simulated world? And I don't mean, there's simulation theory, and obviously Thomas has his own theories about this too. But what do you think? Do you think this is some kind of simulation based on all the experiments and everything you did in the movie?
Yes and no, I want to say. Well, first of all, everybody defines simulation theory in a different way. I just want to clarify, when I talk about simulation, it doesn't mean, because people think that this is a virtual world that doesn't really exist. There's that. And there's another kind of interpretation that it's kind of a big game, that you're inside that game. So my interpretation of simulation is that it is both, meaning there is a bigger, I'm more with Thomas Campbell on this. There is a larger unified field, a kind of a universal consciousness that we're all part of, and then we're individual units of consciousness. That's what he calls it. But I also think it's like we are smaller parts, units of that larger consciousness. And so, but inside this larger matrix, if you will, we still can alter the outcome. And because of that, it is virtual in the sense that it's not finite. Does that make sense? Because when you focus on something and you change it with your mind, it means that you change it. That's what I showed in the movie, that it didn't have to change this way, but you asked for it to change this way, and it did respond to your intention, means that you altered the outcome of that particular command, of that particular biological system or what have you. And so because of that, it's malleable, meaning it's virtual in the sense that it's not finished, it's not finite. But at the same time, I still feel that there's a larger kind of intelligence, but it's not that it's controlling you. It's not like the outcome is still not known. Does that make sense, Joe?
Yeah, it does make sense. Well, because like back to the question I was asking you earlier, because we're just now, I feel like, tapping into our potential about this, because from my understandings of how we manifest things into our reality is all based on, one, our perception, beliefs, and all this in our unconscious, and the energy that we put out to create it. But that's a whole other thing, manifesting, and another thing is observing. So my thought is okay, well, we all know about synchronicity. We all know about how we manifest things energetically. Kind of the stuff that you're working with and what Thomas talks about is what's happening instantaneously to us at sometimes when we're observing. And I think that sooner or later, we're going to be able to figure out what this double slit experiment's all about and be able to manifest things even faster, right? That's not so much a synchronicity or law of attraction or whatever, like the telekinesis experiments, right? I mean, that's instantaneous stuff going on there, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Not only instantaneous, but sometimes it's before it has manifested. Yeah. So, for example, we touched briefly on the Blindfold. It's in the movie. That's another thing. If you don't mind, I'm gonna just kind of introduce that
Sure.
Concept. Yeah. So what happened is that I discovered these kids that were able to read completely blindfolded, and so I wanted to make sure it wasn't some trick or something, because there's all kinds of stuff on the internet. And I was doing, a serious scientific movie, so I investigated it, and it was very real. I mean, in fact, I did the training myself, and I even taught that training myself. And so there are kids, there are adults that can read completely blindfolded. They can see everything, not only blindfolded, but also behind their back. And, so basically, I would hold up something. They had no idea what I was going to show them, and they would see exactly what I was holding in my hand when I was in front of them or behind them or another room. So what happened is that we were also able to measure the light photon inside the mask to make sure that there's the mask wasn't leaking, there was nobody cheating, letting the light in or something like that. And sure enough, there was just no light whatsoever. The device would show 0 light photons. So it means there's no light. So if there's no light, technically you're not supposed to see. And yet these kids, these adults, were able to function perfectly. I mean, they would ride bikes, they would play ping pong, do all kinds of stuff completely blindfolded. And so, but as we were doing the training, and in fact, like I said, I taught the class myself online. So I would notice that we would hold up a color card, so people would be completely blindfolded, and then I would hold up a colored paper, so it would be like a red or yellow or whatever, and I would ask them, what color am I holding in my hand, and they would say, blue or red or what have you.
Right. And
I noticed that a lot of the kids, a lot of the times, they would guess the following color. So in other words, let's say I have I had in my hand red, blue, and green. They would guess the blue before I held. You know what I mean? They were always one ahead.
So they were picking up on what was coming. That's interesting.
Yeah, exactly. And so instead of the now. And so first we thought, oh, they're not getting it. They're like, they're making mistakes. It's not working. But then I was like, wait, they're guessing the exact perfect sequence, except it was one ahead, ahead of its time. And so that was fascinating. It was like, okay, so sometimes when we were talking about we're creating instantaneously, yeah, sometimes we're creating instantaneously, and sometimes we're creating even before it happens, if that makes sense. So the same thing with the double slit experiment. I think the intention of the observer, even if the observer is not there looking at it, to me, I think it's the intention of the observer that starts the process before he starts to observe it.
Wow. That's so that implies that there's something about us that is seeing maybe into maybe into timelines possibly, or I don't know. That I really don't know what that implies. That's so fascinating to me. Yeah.
Yeah, it implies that you are a receiver and a transmitter. And so when you have an intention, what are you doing? You are transmitting your thought. You're saying, I want this object to move, or I want, to create something, or I want the pH to change. So when you say that, when you think that, you are emitting a signal, some sort of frequency, some sort of wave, a quantum wave, a pattern that is coming out of you. Of course, we don't see any of that, so we don't think about it that way. We think thoughts are just this abstract thing that just come out of your brain and they just kind of disappear. But it's not really like that. It's kind of, to me, it's like an electrical charge. Every time you think, the brain releases a wave pattern that now moves, if you will, interacts with the fabric of time-space and kind of moves things in the time-space continuum. And that's how you interact with the physical world and make things happen. And so we're always tapping into this time-space continuum, whether we know it or not, or feel it or see it or not. We are tapped into it that way. So we are sensing things that are ahead of us all the time. And so people who are sensitive, for example, when I was younger, I would see things before they happen. I mean, I still do. I would see things, I would sense things before they would happen. And a lot of people do, actually, all the time.
Yeah, right.
And it is because because your consciousness, you're tapped into the unified field past this current time space that you're in all the time. And same thing with backwards. I mean, you can go in the past as well if you want to.
That happened to me a lot when I was a kid, I remember too. But as an adult, I don't know if this kind of goes along with what you're saying, but sometimes I would be, this has happened to me so many times where I'm one of those people that have a jukebox playing in my head of songs all the time, right?
Yeah.
So I've got a song in my head and I'm singing it in my head, and I'll turn on the radio, and not only will that song come on, but it'll be right in like rhythm exactly where I left off as it's picking up too. It's freaky.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes I hear things and then I turn the radio on and the guy is saying exactly what I just said and what I just thought. Exactly. So that's what I mean. So like we started by saying, this experiment we did in Dean Radin's lab that was measurable, where the physiologically, he was reacting to something that hasn't happened yet. How is that possible?
Oh, man.
It's possible because you are tapped in. Yeah, because you're tapped in. You're tapped in energetically, even though like your body ends where it does, but your energy continues and interacts with the unified field around you all the time.
When you say tapped in, I've kind of like noticed this with psychics that come on the show. Some I think are better tapped in, like you say, than others. Do you think that that we block out our own potential based on our doubt sometimes? Like, say, for instance, we get an inclination, or we start reading the book Blindfolded, or we go to move something, but the second that we doubt it in our minds or something like that, it kind of negates the whole process. You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely, 100%. I've been teaching this for years and years and years, and I see this happen all the time, that as soon as you start to manifest something, your brain goes, wait, did I just make this? Oh my God, is this an accident? Did I make, And so as soon as you do that, you're outside the flow and it stops happening. So, and it's so crazy because like when we're teaching the blindfold, people are training with the blindfolds, and you start to see, I mean, I went through the training, so I know. And what happens is that you're wearing the blindfold and it's completely dark. I mean, like, there's no light whatsoever. And you're sitting there in complete darkness, and all of a sudden you start to see something. You start to see light. That's how it starts. So your reaction is, instead of thinking, because you're doing exercises to make that happen, and so when it does start to happen, you start to see little things, your reaction is, uh-oh, the mask is leaking. Even though you haven't touched it, you haven't changed anything.
Wow.
Uh-oh, I'm cheating. Like there's something wrong, So, yeah, that is the programming I started talking about, that as humans, we're just not programmed to think that we can think and manifest. We're programmed to think that we're supposed to work hard and pay our dues and, do as people are telling us to do and follow the rules and pay taxes. Like, it has to be so hard. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you want to achieve something, you have to, kill yourself before you can achieve it, as opposed to you have to think. That's all it takes. You have to think in the proper way. Meaning, and when I say proper way, there's a creative formula that I've created. Meaning you have to specify your intention and articulate your intention very clearly. It sounds very simple, but you'd be amazed how many people want to create something but don't know how to articulate it. They don't know how to specify what it is that they want. So you have to have the intention, you have to articulate it. You have to really, really, really want it from your heart. And then the third point, you have to believe that you can achieve it. And then the last thing is you have to just let go. Let go of how, the control. Like, it has to happen this way, or it needs to happen by tomorrow morning, or you know what I mean? So there is a formula, if you will. But once you have it, you just know how to go there, and it does manifest.
Yeah, I was talking about that because we talk about magic and the white magical type of manifestation type of way, and it seems that you have to have that logical, formulaic intention that's really specific, and then the visualization and the emotion to kind of feel it, and then if you can let go of the wanting of it and move on with your life, it just seems to wrap back around, and manifest, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So the law of attraction on its own is not enough. In other words, law of attraction is the mechanism. When you send a signal out, it matches the vibration. It brings you its matching vibration. That is the law of attraction. But that's not the law of creation. When you want to create, you have to have all these components. You have to have the intention. You have to articulate it properly. You have to have the belief and the letting go.
Yeah, very well put. Very well put. We're at the top of the hour here. We're going to take our top of the hour break, but we're going to get into a little bit more about what Caroline did in the movie at superhumanfilm.com, some of the experiments she did to show us that we're more than human, more than we think we are. We'll be right back. More of Lighting the Void coming up. Stay with us.
Hey, this is No Way Jose, a Northern California Piscean stuck in the Arizona desert. I'm a void walker, and I got the shoes to prove it. So what do I do when my soul yearns to delve deep into the realm of the unknown? I aim my satellite straight into the night sky and catch a smooth ride on the KTLK-DB radio waves. I tune into Lighting the Void with Joe Root on the French FM.
Joe, Lighting the Void is the best show on the planet. This is Barney, your friend from Facebook. Thank you and all the crew for all you do. Namaste, my friend.
This is Macon from the foothills of North Carolina, and I am a void walker.
G'day, void walkers. This is Lily from down under Australia. The world may be small, the enigma is greater. So let your curiosity take you for a journey with Joe Root.
Hey, this is Fee, coming in from Central Maryland, and I am a void walker.
This is Kevin Doherty, a beginner void walker. I'm from Vancouver, BC. I know a little about a lot, and as Leonard Skinner said, I guess the rest. I learned a lot from Mr. Root in the show, and I heard it from the beginning. I knew right then he was going to be a new art gal. Thanks for all your shows, and keep it up.
Hey, this is Derek from Mass, aka the Night Stalker, and I'm a void walker.
This is Mark from Chicago, and I walk the void to ascertain what is consciousness.
My name is Jared Johnson, and I'm from Humboldt County, California. I do not know all the answers to the questions about reality. I do not claim to know the ultimate truth about life. I seek that which has been made hidden as a part of a family of explorers of consciousness. I'm a void walker. Thanks, Joru.
This is Barbara Charlton from Metaphorical Archaeology. If you've ever had a traumatic paranormal experience, the effects of it may stay with you for years. Who do you talk to? You can't go to conventional help. What we do is we use emotional freedom techniques or tapping to actually neutralize the effects of that event. Maybe when you tell the story now, your heart races and your palms get sweaty. You don't even want to think about it because you don't know how to neutralize that. That's what EFT tapping does. It neutralizes those emotions. The circuit that was recorded on is gone. The energy flows freely and you're free of it. And that's what emotional freedom is all about. We offer this as a pro bono service, but this is something that I offer because no one, it seems, is helping people with these experiences. If you'd like to reach me, it's really easy. My cell phone is 214-995-3754. Please leave a message. I will get back to you as quickly as possible. Or you can email me, barb.eft@gmail.com. And EFT stands for Emotional Freedom Techniques. Reach out to me. It's confidential. This works. You won't believe the results.
Have you heard of heavy metals? Yeah! I'm not talking about the heavy metals in the junkyard. I'm talking about the heavy metals that build up in your body. Heavy metals in your body can make you feel sluggish, fatigued, and just plain off. Why not try Life Change Tea at getthetea.com? Cleansing your body and making you feel great. Cleansing the inside of your body of intruders that sneak their way into you and set up an intruder camp. Life Change Tea helps remove unwanted intruder camps. Brew it, steep it, and drink in the results. Tastes great, so you can create a new health habit. Our tea loves to help people. It just needs the chance. So order yours today by logging on to getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. Our Life Change Super Strength Tea is waiting. This could be a beautiful relationship. Take charge of your health. Order at getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com.
The Fringe FM isn't just a radio station. We also provide services for all your audio production needs. If you are interested in live radio or pre-recorded podcasts, we're here to help. We even do audio enhancements and voiceovers if needed. If you want to do a podcast or live radio show and even want the option to syndicate on terrestrial radio, from simple audio file enhancement to live production and call screening, we have you covered. We have worked with some of the best professionals in the business in order to provide coaching instruction for content creation, show structure, and more. Contact The Fringe Digital Media for more at info@thefringe.fm. That's info@thefringe.fm. Or call 501-777-5631 for a consultation.
From the Kingdom of Arkansas, you are listening to Joe Root and Lighting the Void here on the Fringe FM.
All right, Caroline Cory, our guest tonight. If you want to go check out her film that's out, you go to superhumanfilm.com And you can also find her on Facebook, facebook.com/Omnium Universe. And you can also go to omniumuniverse.com. I think if you guys go get this film, you can rent it, buy it, stream it. It's going to change your paradigm. It's going to show you what she's talking about is real. And again, thank you for coming on the broadcast, Caroline. It's good to have you here.
Oh, yeah, this is great fun. People can watch the movie on Amazon Prime if they have it.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. So if they have the subscription, it's, free to them. So.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Well, I got that. So, yeah, a lot of us have Amazon Prime subscriptions too. And, I want to get back into what you did in the movie, but I'm really have a massive curiosity since it's your first time coming on the broadcast, like how you got into this stuff. Like something had to happen to you for you to get into this stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I started out when I was very young. Something happened. I was 5 years old, and I was just there. Actually, it was Christmas Eve, and I just was looking around. My parents and everybody was like fussing, to do the Christmas tree and the gifts, and I started looking around, and I noticed that they were just kind of not paying attention to me, and they were like fighting, and it was supposed to be Christmas. I was thinking to myself, like, what does this have to do with Jesus and Christ and love? And I was like, where is the love? These adults don't know how to love. So I kept thinking about this, and all of a sudden there was this big, huge energy, which was basically like a group of beings, the light beings that just like showed up. And I saw them, and I started communicating with them. And they said, we're with you, we're connected with you, we'll be with you your entire life. We came from the same place. This is how we communicate telepathically. And I could literally see how their consciousness and mind were connected, and the information was literally kind of passing from them to me and me to them every time I would think. So I understood that that's how telepathic communication works. And they said, if you want to continue communicating with us and, us connecting with you, you have to ask for it. You have to concentrate and say it and, focus on it. So, I'm like 5 years old, right? so it makes perfect sense. And I said, yes, I do. I want this. Because, by the way, the energy was so amazing. I mean, I was wrapped in this unconditional love, this boundless energy of love, which was very, very, contrasting those humans, So that's the reason why I felt so good, and I kind of was open to that communication and that conversation. So anyway, basically that experience ended. They said, well, we're going to be with you the rest of your life. That's how you communicate and this and that. And then they left. And so since that time, I kept kind of going back to that communication and asking for it. And I would see that I noticed that I could see the subtle energy. I could see what kind of people were struggling with, what was going to happen to them the next day, what was on the other side of the wall, like things like that.
Oh, wow.
But, at a very young age. But it wasn't scary. It was like normal. And I think it's because that experience was very, very comforting. It was very familiar. It was beautiful. It wasn't scary. It wasn't like ghosts or anything. And so, in fact, I like that energy much better than the humans around me. So anyway, because of this, I kept at it. Like I kind of stayed open to it. And at the same time, I didn't think it was anything special. I thought like, oh, everybody does that. Like I didn't think I was special or anything. So I didn't talk about it. And so because of that, I kept thinking, like it's no big deal. And because I thought it was no big deal, it kept happening to me, you see, because I was so relaxed about it. And so, but eventually as I grew up, I realized like, wait, not everybody's doing this. Like,
Yeah,
not everybody knows what. Yeah.
Did you
like,
talk
not
to anybody
everybody-
about it? Like your family, friends? Did you approach them and say, hey, this is what's going on with me?
No, like I said, because I thought it was normal. I didn't think it was weird or anything.
Oh,
it was much later when I grew up. I was an adult. This is when I realized, like, oh my God, people don't know what's wrong with them. People can't hear what's on the other side of the wall. People can't see, So this is when I realized, like, oh, well, maybe I am doing something different. And so but I wanted to understand how I was doing it. And so because of that, I got into the field of consciousness science, researching what did I do to be able to see something that others couldn't see? What did I do to be able to hear, to have telepathic communication like this spontaneously? And so because of that, I researched it and I studied it and I practiced it for years and years and years and years. And I developed a whole methodology of meditation, of, kind of discernment, receiving guidance, expanding your awareness, telekinesis and those types of things. So this is how kind of it all developed for me.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So that's interesting because I wonder about children sometimes because children seem to have a lot of, because I can kind of see what you're talking about. I had some weird experiences when I was a kid, but I never said anything, either one, because I thought, I was going to get made fun of, or two, that I didn't know it wasn't normal, to see things in your sleep. But what you're talking about, man, that's like a whole other experience, being visited and talked to. So you kind of incarnated here with a purpose, like automatically knowing what it is, it seems like, right? That's what it seems to me.
Yes, I think so. Yeah, I think so, because it was at a very young age, and it was more of a remembrance. It was more like, oh, where have you been? It was more like, oh, I knew that was going to happen. I don't know how to describe it. It's almost like when it happens, you kind of know it's supposed to have happened. So it was kind of like that. And the more, like I said, when I grew up and the more these experiences got stronger and more and clearer, and I started working in that field and training other people. I mean, I trained hundreds and hundreds of people around the world to do this type of stuff and regression and things like that. So then I realized, wait a minute, this stuff works. I mean, it works for healing, it works for guidance, it works for all kinds of stuff. And so we were getting validation after validation after validation. People would have a problem. We would look at it in this way, using this methodology and energy, like in this specific way, the way I've kind of created it. And then they would dissolve their issue, like literally, in a day or something, depending on what it was. And so because we were having this sort of validation, I realized, wait, we need to take it to the next level. And this is where I started working with scientists. So I started researching the scientists who were trying to investigate the connection between mind and matter, the science of consciousness, basically. And I got together with them, and we started doing all these experiments. And they were so successful. Again, it was like very, very powerful results, measurable, and repeatable. And after doing this for a few years, I said, okay, it's time to start making movies and to put it out there in that format. And that's how the idea for Superhuman came about.
Man, you got some really cool people in the movie. You got Corey Feldman, Naomi Grossman, Robert Picardo, Michael Dorn. So you got celebrities here. This is like the best mix to me, right? Celebrities mixed with some of the best people in the field. Like we mentioned earlier, Dean Radin, Tom Campbell, Glenn Ryan. And I think this is how you really get the message out, what you did. I'm very impressed with this. Like, this is top-notch filmmaking, and it's different because when you turn on like Netflix and you turn on all this other stuff, they have a ton of TV shows and reality shows, etc. But most of my audience, I can say for sure, we're like hooked on this kind of stuff. We want we want more of this to come out. We want to know what we can do. The human potential is everything to us right now. We want to figure out what's going on. So what you're doing and the work you're doing is really serving, and it's a great service. So thank you.
Oh, well, thanks for saying that. I appreciate it. I mean, it's like you were saying, it's like my whole life career, I mean, that's my calling, so I'm just following in my heart what I think I should be doing. So it's quite easy when it's authentic, and also when it's based on experience as well, not just kind of, doing something that someone told you to do, you should do this or you should do that. It just happens,
So I get a lot of people that come to me, and maybe you do too. Some people struggle with different things, right? Like some people are really struggling and going through a lot of big changes right now and wondering, what is my purpose? I feel this calling to do something. I'm just trying to figure it out, but I feel like I need to change and like do something. Is there something that you, well, I mean, obviously you knew from the start, but is there some type of advice you can give them maybe to kind of help tap into that?
Yeah, I mean, there's quite a few things they can do, but one of the meditations that I created is called Connecting to Source. It's free of charge. It's on my website, carolinecory.com. On my YouTube channel also, I have a lot of free stuff. But the meditation Connecting to Source, I made it super easy, super simple. It's only 7 minutes long. The original one is longer. But what it does, it starts to kind of realign your brain channels and your physical body. It's kind of like your vibration, your physical cells, to the original essence. It's almost like, it's not your past life. It's like the way you were created, your true essence before you were ever a human or any other form. And so when you do that meditation with the intention of remembering what you have come to do, you're basically, because all the information is inside yourself, it's already there because it's you. Before you came, you knew exactly why you came. But once you got here, once you're in the body and you're distracted right and left and nobody teaches you how to realign with your original self, you kind of lose the way. You lose that connection. But the information has always been there, and it's still there, and that connection is never severed. And so that's the reason why when you do that connection, you ask, before you start, you say, I'm doing the connection, I'm doing this meditation today with the intention to remember who I really am, to remember what I have come to do. And so gradually your cells and your physical brain are going to recalibrate to that original essence. It's like they start vibrating differently. Even your DNA changes, by the way. And so if you do that a few times over a period of time, maybe 30 days, you kind of remember. Things come up. You're going to have like aha moments. It's going to feel very real to you that you're supposed to be doing this, you're supposed to be doing that. Like you will know it from the heart. So that's what I recommend, one of the things to do. And of course, I have other like complicated courses and stuff like that. But that's kind of at least the first step that people can do.
Very cool. Very cool. Appreciate you saying that. And in your movie, did you notice that, because there's a theory that children tend to be able to do these things easier than adults. Did you observe that to be true in these experiments?
Yeah, I mean, it depends what experiments, but definitely with the blindfolds, because kids don't overthink anything. Like they're blindfolded, they can't see anything, and then you hold up a card and you say, what am I holding in my hand? And they'll just tell you. They're like, they'll just say it. But an adult would be like, wait, how am I supposed to see? I can't see anything. Why is she asking? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So because there's this simplicity in a way, the children learn very, very quickly this sort of stuff. And so, but they also get tired very quickly. It's hard to train them sometimes. But definitely, it takes pretty much an adult twice the time, if not longer, to learn something that the kids can do in half the time. You know what I mean?
So all of our society and reality TV and societal pressures and all this stuff that we've taught ourselves is kind of like just getting in the way. I find that so fascinating, because even Jesus says, and I'm not Christian or anything, I'm not religious, but it is funny that they all talk about having the heart of a child, following your inner child. Is if you could just tap back into that childlike energy, you can tap into a lot of things. I wonder if that just correlates.
Exactly.
It seems to it that it does, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Be childlike, because you're in the moment. You're not thinking about what happened yesterday or what's going to happen tomorrow. You're playful. You're just having fun with it. No expectation, no judgment, and that's when things happen. I mean, that is the creative formula. Which is they just want to have fun. They really want to do it. They believe it's possible because nobody told them otherwise. And they don't care. They let go. They just do it. And that's how it works. That's why it works so easily with them.
That's so cool. Yeah, that is so cool. I mean, because how hard is that? Think about it. How hard is that to tap into, really? I mean, you wake up in the morning and some people don't want to face the day. Or you could wake up in the morning and be like, I'm just going to take it as it comes and be childlike. And didn't it seem like when we were children that time was a lot slower? Right?
Yeah.
I wonder why.
Yeah,
I always wondered that.
It's a little bit of retraining. I mean, like for me, it's just like you brush your teeth every day, you take a shower every day, Like we're not trained to do these little things, but that's the point of this conversation, the point of this film, the point of everything that I've been teaching. Small adjustments to your daily life. Nobody's saying you have to go and like meditate for 4 hours every day and chant and drum and little things. For example, the first thing you do when you wake up, instead of grabbing your phone or this or that, you notice how you feel. Are you tired? Of course, you just woke up. But sometimes you wake up with a feeling. Sometimes you wake up in a weird place. Sometimes you wake up thinking, oh my God, I got to rush this or that. So, before you get out of bed, you start to notice that your vibration is not quite aligned, because if you're nervous or you have anxiety, or sometimes people wake up depressed, So, but then they have to get up and rush off to whatever. So my point is, if you take a little bit of time to notice what's going on before you start your day, before you get out of bed, and you shift to a place of feeling, like you were saying, childlike, kind of in the moment, feeling good, having fun. Today, set your intention, articulate your intention. I want to feel good. I want to feel aligned. I want to feel happy. I want to really be childlike today. I want to be I want to attract full of, surprises, and I want to have fun, whatever, So you say it, you keep saying it, and you'll be amazed, like in 5 minutes, you shift your vibration to this very aligned, positive state of being. And then you get out of bed. So it's just 5 minutes.
Just lay there and have happy thoughts, right? Like Peter Pan said.
Yeah,
I mean, that's what that whole thing was about, right? Happy thoughts, and you can
exactly.
take off into a heck of a lot better place, I think Disney was trying to tell us something.
Yeah, for sure. And so, but I mean, it sounds simple, but you try doing it. You know what I mean? People should try doing it, and they'll notice little things like that throughout the day. Notice what's happening. Don't keep going if you're not feeling 100% aligned with whatever it is that you're doing, because it just doesn't, you get stressed, you get depressed, you have anxiety, whatever. So that's what I mean. I think we go through the day unconsciously. We don't pay attention to us, to how we're feeling and who we really are. And so that's why at the end of the day, we're exhausted. We're, And before we know, you do this day in, day out. Before you know it, you're off track, and you don't know what your goal is. You don't know what your calling is. You don't know what your purpose is, because you've done this, for many years without thinking,
Yeah, that's, I don't think some of us, we all get to our purpose just right away. I think we have to it's all like trial by fire, but I really feel like, and I believe this with my whole heart, maybe you can attest to this, but I feel like if we try, or if we follow our heart, we will find it. I mean, to me, it's, people kind of sit and meditate, and that's good too, to feel your heart. But I think sometimes we overanalyze stuff, and then we get this paralysis by analysis thing. We've talked about that a ton on the show. If you think about it, like if you were a child, what would a child do? I'm not saying be a child in every way, because we live in an adult world, but what would a child do? It would just kind of go with where its soul is taking him,
Right. Exactly. So these little habits, these little things are the ones that are going to realign you with your original self and your original purpose. And we just have to know what they are and just do them, just do it. It's not that much effort. It's just a little bit of readjustment and programming.
And speaking of that, I don't know if we have enough. Now, I'll ask this question about the internal realms, the imagination, and these types of things. We're already at our break here. I think we're just going to keep going on with the conversation, guys. And if you want, you can email the show at contact@lightingthevoid.com, or you can also hit me up if you want to ask a question in the Fringe FM chat. We'll be right back. More coming up.
Fringe FM listeners, did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or no Wi-Fi available, you can still listen to every minute of the Fringe FM by calling 701-719-3971. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. Saves your data plan and no extra cost if you have unlimited minutes. Call 701-719-3971. That's 701-719-3971. Listen to the Fringe FM on any phone, anytime, anywhere.
AncientLifeOil.com. That's AncientLifeOil.com. Are you stressed? I mean, who isn't? Anxiety creeping in? No, not that. Is sleep hard to attain because your brain just won't slow down? We're living in crazy times, and the fear knob has been turned up. Okay, there's an answer. Take a big breath, exhale, and go log on to AncientLifeOil.com. CBD, broad and full spectrum, organic and non-GMO CBD for you to enjoy. Change your tune from fear to calm, from brain overload to clear thinking. 0.003 THC on full spectrum and 0% THC on broad spectrum. Competitive pricing with the best quality. Also know everything is going to get better. No worries, be happy. CBD can help calm so your nerves don't think they're a 6-string electric guitar. Enjoy life, smile, and log on to AncientLifeOil.com for great CBD. That's AncientLifeOil.com. You'll be glad you did.
Want to know what's on the Fringe FM? Check out our schedule at thefringe.fm.
Hola, Fringe listeners. This is Dave Cruz of Beyond the Strange, and you're listening to The Fringe FM.
This is Malorcas45, fan of The Fringe FM, challenging everyone to open their mind's eye. Listen to Lighting the Void with Joe Roop to gain precision for your third eye vision.
My name is Jake. I'm from Billings, Montana, and I am a void walker.
Hey, Joe Roop. Thanks for lighting the void. This is Janine in the bluegrass of Kentucky, and I am a void walker.
What's up, guys? This is Damien from San Marcos, Texas, and I'm a void walker. I listen to the show to keep myself aligned with the world.
Hi, this is Laura, aka Laura Lavender. I'm from Las Vegas, and I listen to Lighting the Void because it helps me understand some of the strangest experiences I've had. So thanks for all that you do and for always being there for us, Joe.
Hi, this is Kronox from Belgium, and you're listening to Lighting the Void with Joe Roop.
Hey, this is country music singer and void walker Jason Benoit, and when I need my fix on the world of magic and the capabilities of the human consciousness, I listen to Joe Roop right here on Lighting the Void Radio.
Born out of the alchemical tradition of Paracelsus is a medical tradition called Spagyria. Though not many people practice this work today, Phoenix Aurelius has been researching and teaching this work for the last 15 years, and he needs your support.
Hi, I'm Phoenix Aurelius, and I'm the founder of the Phoenix Aurelius Research Society, where I perform modern scientific research on the methods and techniques of Paracelsian alchemy and Spagyria for health, wellness, agriculture, ecology, and more. All my work is 100% funded by the public, so if you like what I'm doing and you want to support my research, please consider making a purchase of spagyric medicines from my apothecary, fund your own spagyric IDF wellness research, or participate in my group study or one-on-one immersion courses so that you can learn how to perform this work for yourself. I want to thank you in advance for your support.
Visit thefringe.fm/alchemy research and enter coupon code FRINGE and receive 15% off anything and everything on the website. That's thefringe.fm/alchemy research. And thank you for doing your part and keeping alchemy alive in the modern day.
Welcome back to Lighting the Void Radio. If you guys want to ask a question, ask it in the chat room. Now's the time to do it. We'll ask a question to our guest. Caroline Cory's here with us. And Caroline's been on several radio shows, Jimmy Church, Coast to Coast, and has been doing this for a while, actually, now. And Dave spoke to Dave Schrader and some of my favorite radio shows, too, she's been on. And if you guys have Amazon Prime, you can get her movie on Amazon Prime, Superhuman, The Invisible Made Visible. So if you have that subscription, you can go ahead and watch the movie there, or you can go to superhumanfilm.com. And even on the website, Superhuman Film, there are classes there that you can take, too, to go over some of this stuff that was actually in the movie, which is something cool I've never seen before. Usually filmmakers have just the film, but you kind of have that plus the classes that get involved with the stuff that's in the film. So this is really rad.
Yeah, well, because I started out teaching, that for the longest time. I've been teaching this stuff. And then when I made the movie, see, what would happen is we would film, for example, we would invite someone to do the telekinesis experiment. And we would train her to do telekinesis in literally like 2 hours. And don't forget, these are the worst conditions to do this type of work. For example, we have 6 cameras, we have cables, we have lighting, we have, crew looking at you, kind of projecting, hoping, is it going to work? Is she going to be able to do it? So it's a lot of pressure. And yet, the girl is able to do it. And so what happened, the reaction would be from the crew that, that they've never seen anything like this before, could be like, oh my God, I want to try it. How did she do it? We did another experiment on remote viewing. We trained somebody who had never done anything like this before, how to do remote viewing. And then we did an experiment on camera. And she did it. It was mind-blowing how accurate she was. And same thing, the crew was like, my gosh, if she could do it in 2 hours, I want to try it. So when I started to see this reaction, I thought that's how people are going to feel from watching the movie. So why don't I think ahead and have those classes available to them so that, they watch it, they get inspired, they want to try it, here's the class. And it's working, and it's exactly what I was hoping for. because this it gives you what we were talking about, that you feel empowered and you feel like, what have I been waiting for? Like, let me just give that a try.
Yeah.
And
right.
so that's why we put the classes and people are loving it.
Well, the reason why I think this is such a cool thing is because it is super hard. And I know people like that are just like you, that they probably don't have the same abilities you do, but they just know in their heart, like, you hear people complain about life and society and their job and this and all that time. And it's like, you have this energy inside you that's like, look, you don't really have to be a slave to this stuff. I'm telling you that you can change all this stuff within you because you have these abilities. And it sounds really good to people that have a positive mindset, but people that have had hard lives and, have been stuck in limited belief mindsets and from a lack mindset, and it's buried in their unconscious, it's hard to get those people on this page. But I think with what you're doing, you can even reach those people, right? Because there's science here. There's a paradigm changing type stuff. This is kind of what we need.
Yeah, exactly. And it's very interesting because I get messages every day on, tons of emails, Facebook, people find me on LinkedIn or Instagram, and from people who are judges, who are lawyers, who are bankers, who are, not that, those professions, you're not supposed to be spiritual but like people who actually have never done anything like this before. And they would say, I watched your movie and I just realized that I could do these things, and now I'm so excited. It opened up a whole thing in me. I mean, it's just so funny. Like, all these people, government people, like, like
really?
Mayors, and it's so interesting. It's not like people who are already into Reiki and stuff like that. Not those guys. I mean, of course we have those people as well. And so, but that's what's so fascinating. It's is that this movie has opened up a lot of doorways in that, which is what I wanted. That's exactly what I wanted. So we're getting there.
Yeah. So Bree,
and I think it is because of the science.
Right.
Yeah, because of the science. Yeah.
So Bree in space already dropped a picture in the Fringe FM chat of his Blindfold. So he must have taken part in your stuff here. That's pretty cool. He's got a Blindfold.
Yeah, exactly. So we sell them on the website as well if they can't find them. And then the classes, the Blindfold classes also are on superhumanfilm.com.
That's really cool. Now she has the classes here. If you guys go to the website, the Blindfold classes for children and also for adults. I mean, come on. Like, if this doesn't change your paradigm, what won't?
Yeah, exactly. And we teach telekinesis, like we start with like spoon bending, and then you do telekinesis, moving an object, and then remote viewing and things like that. So yeah, I mean, this is really cool stuff. I really think the film, at least, like we were saying, empowered people to just give it a try. And it's not about moving the object. It's not about bending a spoon. I mean, who cares? That's not the point. The point is, this is training. You are training your brain. You're training your mind to do what you want it to do. And so if you're getting it to move an object, if you're making it bend the spoon, if you're making it do this and that, it means you can make it focus on your physical body and, ask it to heal this way or that way. If you can change the pH in water, in a bottled water, then you can focus on your stomach and your body, which is full of water, mostly water, and change the pH in your body. We all know that an alkaline body is healthier. Viruses, bacteria, and those types of nasty things cannot survive in an acidic, in an alkaline environment. And so what if you were able to do this with your mind? Just focusing on your body and allow it to adjust its pH naturally. And guess what? Your mind is free. If it doesn't work, you haven't lost anything.
Yeah, right.
You know?
What's it going to hurt? Right? So,
you know? Yeah, right? Yeah.
Another question coming in from the chat from the Night Stalker. Speaking of government, people showing interest in calling, do you think that the government is aware of these abilities and trained to do this stuff too? I mean, that's kind of for sure.
1,000%.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, they started out with remote viewing, the Stargate program in the 80s. I mean, in fact, it's in my movie. I have the guy who teaches the remote viewing the way the government taught it. He was in the program himself. And so
was it Lynn Buchanan?
it was Paul Smith.
Gotcha.
And I spoke to Lynn Buchanan, but anyway, so what happened was, so they started this program they were training soldiers to basically spy on the Russians. That's how in fact, the Russians had started before the U.S., and then the U.S. said, wait a minute, if the Russians are doing it, we should be doing it. And the Chinese are doing it, the Japanese are doing it. I mean, everybody was doing the same thing, using psychic abilities to spy, of course, for military purposes. But then, especially the Chinese, there are also programs working with people who could move objects, levitate objects, do all kinds of psi things, definitely. So I think officially, though, all these programs are shut down now, but I am sure, and I know of some, maybe it's the private sector working with some government officials, so it's kind of more of an obscure way, continuing with this sort of experimentation for sure. Especially the Chinese, and the Russians, they're totally into this.
Yeah, I was just on Sam Tripoli's podcast talking to him about that. For sure, they're doing it. Even in that movie, Third Eye Spies, they mainly focused on, and that movie they mainly focused on the remote viewing, but they had pictures of Robert Monroe in the background too. So I think I know for sure they're constantly doing this stuff. And then you know what? As long as if we watch your movie, right, at superhumanfilm.com, as long as we tap into it, I've been saying this to the audience forever. As long as we learn how to tap into this stuff and we learn our own abilities, it doesn't really matter if the government's doing it or not, because we'll be able to do it too. Then there is nothing that can really control us,
Exactly. I mean, this goes way beyond just, remote viewing as well, because it really empowers you in so many ways. You can see things in the future. You can, you can get guidance, with more clarity. You can heal yourself. I mean, there's so much stuff, you see through the lies very quickly. You can discern what's fake, what's not. I mean, in other words, it really expands your awareness in so many ways. So that's why this is so important. It's not just a kind of a little thing on the side, like a hobby on the side. I think people need to take this very seriously.
Yeah, because that is the ultimate way to get your power back. Even when I was talking about doing astral travel, I'm like, who can stop you? If you can become superhuman. Who can really stop
passport.
You? Right? There's no
passport.
Yeah, there's nothing that can stop you. You can go where you want to consciously. You can manifest what you want to. You can become, I know it sounds crazy, but you can become a ghost if you learn astral travel. What do you need? What do you have to be afraid of? You don't even have to be afraid of death anymore. It's freeing.
Exactly. I agree.
So when you go into these experiments in the movie, do you think that we as humans are better, and I don't mean just children, but I mean humans as a whole, do you think that we're better at one thing or the other, or we're kind of slowly learning all of these abilities at the same time? Does it seem that we're more apt to the blindfold thing and less to telekinesis, or does it all kind of seem the same to you?
Yeah, no, actually, it is very different from person to person. So, for example, this in the normal psychic abilities, so there are people who sense, most people sense, they're sensitive, they're intuitive, very, very strongly, but then they can't, for example, they're not clairaudient or clairvoyant, like they cannot see anything, they just sense everything. Other people see, they're clairvoyant, but then they can't hear, you know what I mean? So I think that people are going to develop one strong ability more than another. So it really depends. It's like case by case. That's what I noticed. And so you start with one strong ability, then you add another, and then, eventually the others come. So some people will learn the blindfold. I have a girl. It's crazy. I mean, I put up her videos on my Instagram page. I mean, she's like reading. She took my class online, which normally you have to do in person, and she can see everything in the blindfold. Like she's out walking around, reading the menus in the restaurant, and I mean, it's crazy. And other people couldn't do that, but were able to do other things through the blindfold. So it's like, it's like subjective. I think it's like however your belief system allows you to manifest things gradually, So
just to cheat a little bit, because I got to ask you something. I'm so curious. You were talking earlier about how when we do these exercises, a little bit of light comes in. Is that our third eye that we're using? Do you believe like it's allowing, like, can we actually see like we do with our eyes?
To be honest, we don't know the actual mechanism. We don't know what the brain is actually doing to compensate. It's almost like you're asking the brain, normally it needs light to see, but now you're telling it there is no light, but you still have to see. So the brain tries to find different pathways somehow. How it's finding the pathways or which pathways, we don't know, because we are trying to, we can't see inside the brain far enough. So so there are scientists right now putting all these electrodes and things like that on the brain of people who are doing the blindfold exercise, and they're trying to figure out what part of the brain is doing this. Is it third eye? Is it this or that? But to be honest, it's not so easy to detect exactly if it's the pineal gland that's being activated or not. There's another part of the brain that's called the caudate putamen. It's like weird names. I don't know who comes up with these names, but it's like in the middle of the brain that seems to be very concentrated when you are having a psychic experience. And that is at the center of the brain, but it's not the pineal gland. So I think, again, it's more than one thing. It's not just the pineal or the third eye, or you know what I mean? It's not like one or the other. It's a combination of things.
Interesting. Yeah, that's so it's really down to the individual and what they're I just want to, I don't know. I want to hurry up and get to the end and figure out just how superhuman we are. Like, I'm just saying, I think that we have, that's what I was talking earlier, like
That's
why
funny.
we're so attracted to superhuman movies like the Avengers and all this stuff is because I think it kind of speaks. I'm not saying that we're going to turn into like the X-Men or anything. I'm just saying that I think those movies speak to our internal need to grow into something more than human,
Yeah, exactly. I mean, superheroes. We're obsessed with superheroes. What's up with that?
Right, exactly.
Because we want to be that. We know we are that, and we aspire to be that. There's something within us that knows, that admires that aspires, So, that natural tendency is because we know we have that potential,
Yeah, I don't pretend to like know the truth about any of this stuff, but I find it because the more you experiment, at least in my life, with the little things that I've done, it seems like I have way more questions, right? And I think it would be boring if we just knew the truth about this all the time anyways. But I don't know. I'm just really excited to see where all this goes. But earlier I asked you too about the imagination. This is something that I think that is probably the most powerful thing that we have, because I don't know. I think that you can just change, no matter how bad you're feeling or what your outlook is or whatever. If you can change the vision that you have in your mind and the emotion that corresponds with it, you can change everything. It's just, I'm wondering, are you noticing this with children and adults? Is there a difference in that sense, right? Is it harder for the adults to change their internal paradigms more than it is the children?
I mean, children too, you have to train them to do that. You know what I mean? Because there's a little bit of training. It's different. It's different. I mean, the process is different. So it depends on the length of time or really the desire of the adult to want to change. Because I've worked with people who had a lot of problems, like their whole life, and trauma, PTSD, or, you know, really bad things happened to them. But they were so willing and ready that only in a few sessions they were able to, you know, turn their life around. Other people in like one session, but yet others takes them a year. So it really depends case by case, and I think it's the same for children as well, because you still have to train them. You still have to kind of explain to them why you have to shift your outlook, like why, you know, when you go to school and you don't feel well, that you have to express it and shift it and change it. You know, like you have to explain to them why and how it works. But then they'll do it faster. You know what I mean? So I think, yeah, I think like kids, once they understand, it just happens. But in the case of adults, it's how much they want it. You know, so that's the difference.
Or they can keep themselves from
how much they're ready.
From doubting too, maybe. Even I wonder how many times, like how long it takes for like, no, you know, how many times they keep doubting it before they're really convinced that it's real. You know? Exactly. Well, didn't you used to do like events and stuff too until all this COVID stuff hit? I can imagine that you used to do like events at like real conferences and stuff, didn't you? I know you've been to quite a few.
Oh yeah, all of them. Yeah, all of them. Like Contact in the Desert, Conscious Life Expo, you know, Alien Con with a network, because I'm also on the shows Ancient Aliens and Unexplained and Skinwalker Ranch and those shows on History Channel. I'm a regular pretty much on Ancient Aliens. So these guys also do conferences every year. I mean, we were doing it. And then now it's like, because of COVID, we're doing everything online. So
hopefully that'll come back, because conferences are fun. I hope that comes back around for sure. For sure. Yeah, you guys, if you go watch the movie, superhumanfilm.com, you can go to Amazon and just type in the Superhuman at Amazon, or just what I typed in was Superhuman movie and it came right up. But superhumanfilm.com, there are classes there. You can take classes for your kids. And I imagine I wish this would have been around when my son was younger, because I would have definitely, you could still do it if they're older too, but I would have definitely done it when he was younger, because imagine how it would enhance your child, you know, to be able to do this.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because it's not just about this, because they gain a lot of self-confidence and all kinds of very positive things start to happen. It helps with ADHD, with autism, with all kinds of stuff, because you're asking them to focus on something. So it's a really good training for kids. And it's mind-blowing. Like from the first session, you know, they start to see color and stuff. It's insane.
Yeah, I bet a lot of the parents are shocked that their kids can even do that stuff, right? like that. What?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we get this all the time, and and we have a forum, for all the people taking the classes, and they upload the videos and stuff. Like, look what my kid did, and so it's a lot of fun.
Right. Well, listen up. We have to wrap up the show, but I really appreciate you coming on and talking to us about this and sharing your movie. It's doing great. You guys, when you watch it, make sure you leave an awesome review. I think what you're doing, Caroline, is exactly what we need right now. This is exactly what we need. Not just talking about it, but experimenting with it, filming it, showing people, changing lives. And then on top of that, allowing the audience, because you're a teacher, to get involved too and take the classes and do it right along with you. That's really cool.
Well, thanks so much for saying that. This was a blast. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it was a blast. It's the first time. Hopefully we can have you back and we can talk and get into some deeper stuff, because I know you've talked about all kinds of subjects too, because you've been around. And
for sure.
I did get a couple of emails asking about alien stuff, but I thought maybe we could save that for another time or something, right?
Yeah, exactly. They can email me as well. I mean, they can send stuff, and they can also. I have another movie called Among Us that they can watch as well on Amazon Prime about aliens.
Oh, really? Cool.
So, but thanks. Yeah. But thanks for having me. This was awesome, Joe. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, it was good to have you on too, and we'll do it again sometime. And all of you guys that are listening, thank you for listening tonight. Make sure you support the show and the network, and stay tuned for the Secret Teachings with Ryan Gable. You guys have a good night. Sweet dreams.